want a revolution. Well, you know, we all want to change the world. You tell me that
You're listening to the drug addicts and the communist revolutionaries, the Beatles. And as you well know, the communists are now running America. Some of them know it, some of them don't know it, some of them are just useful idiots. But the fact of the matter is the Communist Socialist Front is now running the United States of America. On the other side are the American patriots, borders, language, culture. I've been telling you this for 15 or 16 years on the radio. I've warned you about the government media complex. And now, case in point, we see the government media complex in overdrive, on steroids, attacking Andrew Breitbart and the Tea Party and talk radio all at once, saying that we are the problem, that we are racists, we are this, we are that. The very same government media complex that ignored the Black Panther scandal, where Black Panthers with clubs in military garb appeared at a polling booth, intimidated voters, and the case was thrown out by Eric Holder and Obama because they would not prosecute. That case not covered by CBS, while CBS has jumped all over the Shirley Sherrod case. I can give you 5 other examples of this deceitful. I would use the word evil, but it will diminish my argument, so I won't use the word evil. But my friends, I don't know of another word to describe the government media complex. They are evil. They are dragging us into a Euro-socialism that this country was supposed to be in opposition to. And we are standing opposed to them. And they're using every dirty trick known to mankind to try to overcome the actual people themselves. Because make no mistake about it. What are the Tea Parties? I was asked this the other day by the Wall Street Journal. They're going to run the interview this week. He said to me, what are the Tea Parties? I said, fundamentally, they're middle-class business owners and workers who don't want to support third worlders who've invaded the country and a bureaucracy that's milking them dry. That's the Tea Parties. They're the people themselves. And so now you have Andrew Breitbart. He gets caught, in a way, in the whole mix by releasing a tape of what he says is a racist woman in the government laughing at a poor white farmer, and then she catches herself in the middle of it, and she says she's going to help him anyway. And he's ripped apart by ABC, CBS, CNN, and others in ways that you can't imagine, when all he wants to do is make this country safe for his children. Because he recognizes what will happen if we throw away our sovereignty. He recognizes what will happen if we throw away the protections that were afforded us in the Bill of Rights. He recognizes that we are safer in this country with the checks and balances than we would be with a Euro-socialism where a judge, let us say, from The Hague will determine what we can and what we cannot do. Joining us now is Andrew Breitbart, again on the Savage Nation. Andrew, thanks for joining us, and I hope you didn't mind the editorializing, but I have to do such things from time to time in order to satisfy my own audience. Andrew, before we go back to taking callers, I want to go back to the Sherrod case. Are you standing by your allegations that you think she is somewhat racially biased against white people?
Well, look, I don't want this to be Sherrod about Sherrod. They're the ones that recognized that they had a fantastic narrative if they could change the subject from the NAACP's propaganda campaign that you called the government Democrat or the government media complex, is that they granted for 6 full days the ability to say of the Tea Party, when did you stop beating your wife? To negatively brand it. And so there is a context here that I wanted to tell the NAACP that we saw exactly what they were doing. They were doing what the Congressional Black Caucus was doing and acting as a proxy proxy warriors for Obama to change the subject from the economy to whether or not Obama's opponents are all racist. And if this were from Rahm Emanuel, I need to reiterate this. This tape, which we issued the next day, has her talking in such racial and mostly Marxist tones. And the second video that we offered is so unbelievably damning for a federal employee to say this. She oversees over $1 billion worth of money. And in the second video, which nobody wants to play up, she says that she tries to get people to take government jobs because you can't get fired from government jobs.
Oh, my God.
The Tea Party.
Wait a minute. She oversees $1 billion of funds a year before she got fired? She was in charge of $1 billion division?
More so than that, and I hate to open up this hornet's nest, but it's there to be opened up. Again, I did not isolate Shirley and all of her Marxist and racial tones that were there. I wanted to point out that the Tea Party countenanced the racist rhetoric. If we want to look at the entirety of the tape, which many even on the right say is exculpatory for her, you will see a person who has a very Marxist way of looking at the world. And the hornet's nest here is Pigford. Now that I've given you a word to Google, you will see that she was part of a class action lawsuit with her husband, Charles Sherrod. It's the black farmers discrimination lawsuit that has its basis in the 19th.
Wait, hold on. I intimated this last week, Andrew, because I saw it in passing. She sued the government before she got her job. Is that right?
Yes, and she got $300,000 distribution in it. But what happened is, and Steve King, the congressman from Iowa, has been investigating this for forever, and he said on another radio show that there's about 95 to 96% fraud in this thing. And when you want to talk about redistribution of wealth, in essence, a new supplemental this initial settlement from years ago had a statute of limitations. In a latest military budget, $1.5 billion was put in there to be a supplemental fund to fund this program to pay black farmers who were quote-unquote discriminated against. And according to Congressman King, it's rife with fraud, and more people are applying for money from this than there are black farmers in the country. And
oh, my God, what a story that is. You think Bob Schieffer will cover that little side story, Andrew?
Look, listen, you have to understand, you got to pay attention to this thing, and I'm really in the weeds right now. But isn't it interesting that she got fired so quickly? When I'm the guy that brought down Acorn, I can't take credit for thinking this thing through. We stumbled upon a rock. You pick up the rock, and she was part of the class action lawsuit against the government. The government, upon its settlement, hires her and puts her in charge. And so she's in charge of the distribution. And people are basically coming in there and saying, yeah, I wanted to be a farmer back in the 1980s, but I knew that I couldn't because I was black, and therefore I want a check, and they're getting distribution checks on this.
Oh, my God almighty, what a story this is, Andrew. This is a much bigger story than the NAACP tape, isn't it?
We stumbled upon it, and I think that's why it took a couple days for Barack Obama, who quickly fired her thinking, I can't have people looking into this. And I think what's conspicuous is it took 2 days. And when they gave her a job, they didn't give her job back. They gave her another job.
We're speaking with Andrew Breitbart. If you have a question or a comment, a quick one now. Don't ask him how he is. Don't tell him you love him. You're on the Savage Nation. This is not a personal phone call. Fire away, and then we're going to take it off the air, meaning you're going to hang right up. Patricia, New York, from WOR. What's your question for Andrew Breitbart?
I have a comment. I heard his old statement, and I believe him 100%. I think that Shirley did both a mea culpa.
Wait, please. Please, I don't want editorializing. I'd like a question then.
Do you think that it was the NAACP that dropped the dime on Shirley?
Andrew, you want to answer that one? Andrew, would you answer that?
I'm back. What's interesting about the NAACP here is that they're saying that there was a rush to judgment by Andrew Breitbart. I'm the one in my initial post granted her exculpatory narrative that said that she, helped the white farmer. It was the NAACP that possessed the full video when this all transpired, and they threw her under the bus. I think that that's incredibly conspicuous here, that the NAACP did not come in and support Shirley Sherrod.